and ready to go with match number 1 of today, and it's going to be che0nsu versus Alutemu. And yeah, as I said before, as we can check out the list, as I said before when we were starting the show, I think like it's top of the division versus bottom.
Yes.
And I think Alutemu is right up there with top of just the performance in Asia Pacific in terms of play.
Yes, he's been doing very, very well indeed. I'm really glad to see him switch back to the Mage as well. Partially for his benefit, because he's very good with it. Partially just for my entertainment. I absolutely love watching strong Mage play. I agree it's the best deck in the game at the moment. I agree it's probably the hardest deck to play at the moment. Maybe Hunter comes out there, but that might just be because I'm less experienced with the deck, so I don't know what's going on. But either way, it's an absolute treat to watch him play this Mage deck, which we can take a look at now. Pretty standard stuff, all things considered, with the Luna's Pocket Galaxy, which I think at this point can be considered pretty standard for Mage decks, even though some players, I mean, there's a lot of memes floating around on Twitter of 5 mana do nothing and better than Skull of the Minari forehead. But I think overall people are thinking it's probably worth a slot at this point.
Yeah, I think something leans heavily towards just an expected inclusion when no one's really surprised by it being there, right? You go, oh, he's playing Luna's one, okay, cool. And like that's not like, oh wow, you know, it's just okay, he's using this card. It's not mind-blowing anymore. It's just solid. But let's check out che0nsu's list. There's the one he's going to try and beat Alutemu with, and it is this Burgle Rogue. And this deck in itself is gaining a lot of popularity right now, with you know, the changes to Pilfer making a decent enough impact on being able to play cards like the Fence, which again, yeah, I think we talked about it yesterday. If you play Fence on 2 and it's buffed, that's nuts. Insane.
Yes,
it's
that's
just better totem going.
Insane. Yes, it is absolutely ridiculous. I think that I'm not sure if anyone else brought the Pilfer version other than Tice in Europe, to which he did lose to Kalenta yesterday.
Yeah, small note, of course, this obviously is not the Pilfer one. That's not what I was saying. I was just saying Burgle in general, before people start sending me tweets.
They'll come anyway. Make no mistake.
True. You know what? Yeah, this is completely wrong. Blah, blah, blah. Send me tweets. But no, I think this list is very solid because Vendetta just feels so powerful.
Yes.
Even to the extent where I think yesterday I was saying that I think Vendetta shouldn't have been held. In some games it was held a little bit too much. I think Vendetta, you just use it to take board at any opportunity. You just have 0 mana, gain the board. It's just a fantastic card.
Yeah, I think usually I agree with you. I think against specifically Mage, it gets really interesting as to how you approach it. Because being able to take out half of a giant is huge in that matchup. Because very often against Rogue, if you don't have these cards, like Vendetta in particular, or Backstab SI, Eviscerate, things like that, you have to trade in your entire board into a giant. Because if your opponent just plays a giant, as we saw Alutemu do yesterday, where he just played a giant against, what was it, an SI7 agent and a Henchman Thug, even, and it forced his opponent to trade into it. It was absolutely miserable for Rivius to have to do so, but it was a fantastic play, and I think holding on to the Vendettas wherever possible definitely makes that more difficult to just throw down a giant.
And here we go, though, getting into game number 1. Alutemu, formerly known as Machamp, on the top, on the Mage, and che0nsu on the bottom.
He's actually, he's still Machamp HS on Twitter. Yeah, he should probably change that one. Well, he's at Alutemu,
but his name is
Machamp. Yeah.
Well, are you Derek Brown? Derek Brown?
I am at Derek Brown. I used to be at Brown Derek, but that's because 13-year-old me owned at Derek Brown, and I couldn't be bought. I made a new account because I was like, I can't bother to change the password when I started doing Hearthstone.
It's like having an old email account, isn't it? It's like, oh, I don't want to clean this up. I'll just make a new one, start from fresh.
It's like, should I be dbizzle123 at hotmail.com, or I won't say my actual email address. I won't just dox myself live on it.
Do you have your actual email address in your Twitter? Like business contact?
I don't think I do, actually. I think, like...
Unprofessional.
I don't think anyone would ever actually want to do business dealings with me. And if they do, they would have to send up the Derek signal of a meme on Twitter, to which, even if you just post it in the deepest, darkest corner, I'd find it, and I would respond to your business address.
Yeah, I will say, I was saying to Derek earlier while we were getting ready, and he just did like 1 thumb's worth of scroll through his Twitter timeline. I was like, wow.
What a hellscape.
I don't think I could take any more than that 1 scroll through.
Exactly. It's potent, to say the least.
Let's go into this game, as we talked about a whole lot of nothing for the start. But in general, Alutemu's opening hand is, I would say, just okay.
Super good. This is insane.
Okay, it is now.
Now it's gone from decent to what our current Hearthstone World Champion referred to as the Giga Nuts.
Yeah. Okay,
It's not bad.
those
Yeah.
are some interesting choices.
Not bad. I like the pick of Savage Roar. I think like going for extra. Maybe Blessing of Ancients was better because, in my opinion, Blessing of Ancients is like just a worse card, like a lower power level card. 3 mana for +1/+1 is very, very weak, and it's a lot of mana to get the twin spell effect rolling. But large minions on board is very, very difficult for Mage to deal with. I think that was a close pick.
I think it was, especially when you consider lackeys as well often end up all over the show, like buffing them.
But then
Suddenly
is
becomes
Savage Roar even better than the extra stats?
I guess it's the difference between just survivability, right?
Right.
Because they probably can't then be Ray of Frosted down so easily if you go from 2 to 3, for example, on some minions. I don't know, it's close. But in the meantime, though, Alutemu did the mage thing. He's ended up with 2 7/8s on the board, and it's all on che0nsu to deal with it. But with Backstab, with Vendetta, he can actually backstab Vendetta and still use Ziliax if he wants, or go for a big cleave.
Mage with giant Conjurer's Calling is like the episode of The Simpsons where Bart just like, I didn't do it. And the catchphrase gets very old very quickly is the joke, and he has to come up with new ones that don't have the same hit. And that's the deal with Mage. It's boring at this point, but it's very powerful.
I do like it when you explain jokes.
Yes. Well, you weren't rolling on the floor with laughter, so I thought you clearly hadn't got it.
I don't think explaining it was ever going to help, to be honest.
Agree to disagree.
Okay.
However, for Alutemu, despite che0nsu's very powerful turn with the Vendetta, like we were talking about, to clear up everything, he just has so much refill. He doesn't even have to go for it on this turn, but I imagine he's probably winding up for Apprentice, Arcane Intellect, and then all the cheap spells plus Mana Cycler.
I think the important part is, che0nsu did a great job of shutting down that big push from Alutemu.
That was necessary.
But it used a lot of cards.
Right.
And now, if you're sat on the Alutemu side of the board right now, you think, well, he can't do that many more times this game. The cards just don't exist, at least for now.
Okay, if Ethereal Lackey can pick up a 0 mana spell, then we're talking.
Close.
Ooh, that is a tough choice. And he got the turncoat contract, so if he's going to go for the contract, there are 4 different options that you can get off of the contract. You don't know what it's going to be until you pick it. Turncoat contract, which deals the damage of the minion you're destroying to adjacent minions, is the dream versus Mage. That was the best possible outcome.
Yeah, when we see these Warrior decks play Super Collider and stuff, I think sometimes if Warrior could play that card, they would. Specifically that card.
Yes.
Everyone would take that
yeah.
in. It's insane. 6 mana, get rid of a board. Oof.
It's pretty nuts.
Our team is just going to deal with this Van Cleef. It's not a huge ask, and he has a lot of spells to help anyway. Even this Shooting Star's just good. Like, this has just worked out pretty well. He can generate more spells now, and although he doesn't have a big push on the board,
Punch the Zillions.
yeah,
Oh
he
my
can
god.
create a decent turn in itself anyway.
He gets 4 spells, a Cyclone, 2 5-drops, Leroy and a Bear. What is happening?
Our team is just good at the game, man.
This man is a cold-blooded killer.
Oh, he even got good spells too.
Those are really good spells.
Another Intellect, a free spell, fine. Pyroblast, okay, whatever. But then the Spellbender, the Frostbolt, the Arcane Intellect is fantastic. Those are just good cards.
This was a massacre, this game. Like, che0nsu's not dead yet, and he can go contract on the Leroy, I suppose. But
I guess, like,
boy, is he in a
I guess the
miserable
phrasing
position.
is he isn't technically dead,
Yes.
but more or less. In the way that a zombie isn't always technically dead because it's stood up and moving around.
Well, no, it's the opposite way around. Zombies are technically dead, but they're...
Well, I feel like we're getting philosophy now.
Fair enough.
And it depends what type of zombies we're talking about, I suppose.
Also true. Very true.
But you get my point. Kind of.
Kind of, yes. Although your point was technically dead. I get what you're going for.
He's going to have to do this just to do something on the board and stop Alutemu just steamrolling this. Because again, it's not only that that turn was good for Alutemu, it's that because of that turn, his future turns are probably pretty good too because he generated so many spells.
Speaking of making your future turns pretty good, Luna's Pocket Galaxy does a pretty good job of that. Like, Alutemu at this point just needs to wonder, how do I possibly lose?
And With
And honestly, I think Luna's Pocket Galaxy just locks the game.
Yeah, Luna's Pocket Galaxy, he could even
Frostbolt,
Frostbolt
yeah.
or trade. Doesn't
Or yeah,
overly matter, I don't think. But then next
Trade
turn, there's
double
like
Conjurers.
intellect into
that's what
like
I mean.
1
Yeah,
drops
yeah, yeah.
or 0 drops potentially.
Observe and
Maybe trade double Conjurers is his best shot. Like, he doesn't lose if he does that, but like,
But why would you? Do you even need to conjure this? Oh, it's your favorite.
okay. I think you have to conjure that. Yeah. Like, stuff like that is how he loses. Like,
Yes.
if he was to end up with a Dustfallen Aviana as the last card of the turn, the 0 mana card that che0nsu got might have been able to get him back into the game, as unlikely as it seems. Now, however, he's digging for a miracle. I don't think
Oh,
he finds it
Spellbender's
either.
late to the party.
Nourish is so expensive as well.
So do you take Lazul's then?
Oh, that sucks so bad.
I mean,
It's
show me one that doesn't.
probably just Nourish.
No, I think it's
Ah.
Lazul. 0 mana with a proxy combo effect. It helps.
Yeah, I guess he doesn't have prep in the deck, so
Yeah.
Nourish doesn't get much better.
I mean, if he cast Nourish anytime soon, he just dies, I think.
Fair. How sad is it that prep Nourish has gone from 2 mana to 4 mana?
Yeah, pretty sad. That common combo.
observe and reflect.
I like Rogue and I like Druid. And I miss doing broken stuff.
Do you have any? Do you have any sort of feeling that Druid is going to be strong next expansion? Do you think Elise is going to bring it back?
I have high hopes. I am personally, the current playstyle of Druid isn't really my preferred one, of like just swarming out on
Losing?
the board.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, that too. I was a huge fan of pretty much every kind of Malygos Druid. One Night in the Karazhan era, Malygos Druid was my personal favourite, but the most recent one was pretty spicy too. I have high hopes for Druid though.
Ooh, nice buff on the villain too. It does mean
yeah.
it is going to get resurrected
It's going to come back.
if it dies. And I'm pretty sure this just means that che0nsu is dead and he's not going to get resurrected.
Well, if he goes Rat into... Is there any spell that he can discover? There's no Vanish anymore, of course, now that that has been moved to the Hall of Fame last week. Like, he could get Pilfer into any spell in the game that isn't a rogue spell. I don't even know if there are any. Like, it'd have to be Freeze into Freeze.
Frost Nova, right?
Yeah. And, you know, credit to Alutemu. By holding back on the Pocket Galaxy here, it has meant that the pressure he's applied, even though his turns, on average, I think have been less powerful than they would have been with Pocket Galaxy, it's been quicker, right?
Been
Like,
consistent,
it's come
yeah.
down, yeah, exactly. It's come down a lot sooner, which meant that che0nsu has had much less time to do his own broken combos.
Yeah, and the big deal here is because che0nsu never really... I mean, this is a combo.
Is
Because
this
Chun-
lethal? It's never lethal, right?
23, 24, 25, 26? It was close.
I was honestly,
Oh
I wasn't even
my.
considering how close that was getting.
close.
Wow.
Oh, and with the lackey. I mean, you couldn't have done it all, obviously, but there was actually 30 damage involved in that turn.
He is just dead, but that was pretty nuts, yeah.
Brave. I like it. Good job, che0nsu.
That was really close to lethal.
But that, funnily enough, works in with what I was going to say, in that because che0nsu had 0 opportunity to apply any early game pressure, it meant that he couldn't do the thing that Rogue can often do, is go, oh, I'm in a bad spot. Wait, can I just set up 2-turn lethal?
Yeah.
And just try and survive for 2 turns, then win? Because Rogue has available so much burst damage. You saw the Waggle pick was in his hand, you know, and then, yes, they were from Savage Roar and Unleash the Hounds, not the usual Rogue combos, but pushing that level of damage is often a Rogue thing. It's something you can do fairly consistently, but because there was no early game pressure, there was no out, right? There was no like, oh, 30 damage from hand. It doesn't really happen, so...
Yeah, it was just the fact that like you said, the fact that he was able to kill off the giant Conjurer's Calling turns was 100% necessary to keep him in the game. but it was so many resources poured into dealing with only a fraction of Alutemu's hand that it really just led to a loss from there.
It did, yeah. Just game number 1 going to Alutemu. I just don't think this stomping is going to go away anytime soon for this guy. And I think some of the players might be glad he's got a bye so they don't have to play him straight away in playoffs. We will see. But for now, he's still going to go through che0nsu. We're going to get ready for game number 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.
My name is Sam Braithwaite, and I'm the Senior Global Franchise Lead for Hearthstone Esports. This event was especially cool because it takes place right after the brand new expansion, Rise of Shadows. Historically in Hearthstone Esports, we do our big events like this towards the end of an expansion cycle, but we really wanted to shake things up and really showcase that not only is the world champion the person who can pilot the best decks, but also the person who, when presented with a brand new game, can put together the best decks leading into the World Championship. Cheers to you guys, the sold-out crowd here for the HCT 2019 World Championship.
Welcome back to 2019 HCT World Championship.
We've had a lot of fun games, and we're looking forward to the grand finals. Showdown. Viper versus Hunter Ace. Only one can be the champion. Oh, come on!
Match be dead.
Wacko pick a vis coming out from Hunter Ace.
It's now or never. Arch-villain reform.
Okay! In a completely solved game, Hunter Ace finds a way to maximize his chances. It's been a wonderful journey throughout the past few years of the Hearthstone Championship Tour, where stars were made and dreams came true.
Available for a limited one-time purchase starting on June 3rd, the new Masters Bundle contains 10 Rastakhan Rumble Packs, 10 Rise of Shadow Packs, a new Stolen Thunder card back, and the Thunder King Shaman Hero. The Masters Bundle is available and giftable now through the Blizzard shop. With the Masters Bundle, you can add to your collection while also celebrating Hearthstone's vibrant esports scene.
I hope you are ready for some more Mage versus Rogue, because that's what we've got coming up. che0nsu versus Alutemu. Alutemu, again, just making a habit of... that was not just an easy game or a stomp or anything, but it kind of felt like it. And I think Alutemu's making a habit of just winning games with this Mage, kind of no matter what happens.
Yeah, I mean, well, I would actually argue that was an easy game. That was a bit of a stomp from Alutemu, but I agree
I've
overall...
seen bigger stomps, is my argument.
That's fair. Yes, I suppose that's fair with the Khadgar nonsense that can occur. But I would argue that Alutemu's biggest strength is he shows the most necessary aspect of Mage play consistently, which is flexibility. He knows that this deck cannot be played rigidly because you don't get all the cards you want every time. It's a lot of weird little combo cards, and you have to know how to throw them down effectively in order to be able to win every single game, even the ones where you don't get hands like that. His chances are going to be a lot easier, I would imagine, with the half-time scavenger package he can throw in here to fight back against some of Rogue's early game. Because when you're not finding opening hands with the Giant Conjurers calling on turn 4, half-time scavenger can really help you to fight back against Rogue's early aggression.
Yeah, and let's see what he's going to fight back against. We check out che0nsu's list, and he's also on his secondary deck, and it's kind of the usual double Water Plank, double Fairy Dragon, and Betrayal, and just losing the Ziliax, the Life Drinker, Snip Snap, and Rats. It's fine. Like, those cards, although are good cards if you just looked at them in a column on their own, they don't do as much versus Mage. So very, very solid secondary deck, I think, for che0nsu. The only worry is with the Betrayal and the 2 Walk the Planks, it's a reasonable amount of mana that can end up sat in your hand a little bit, right? Rogue often doesn't want to just go 4 mana, not 4 mana pass, but 4 mana, remove 1 minion. You know, like, where's the rest of the hand going?
Always good, like always proactive. And I think to che0nsu's, to your point, we have seen some players. I'm sure Tyler wouldn't like me bring this up again because he's learned from his mistake. Playing with these cards incorrectly, I would say. When Tyler on the coin, I think, just kept Walk the Plank in his starting hand one of the games. Right. When Mage, when they're on the play rather than on the coin, isn't going to make a very big minion a lot of the time. You want the proactive stuff. che0nsu, however, I would argue has shown fantastic understanding of the early game against Mage. Even just perfectly evinced in that previous game where he kept SI7 Agent on the play. Generally, you're thinking SI7 Agent is a card you want on the coin, right? So you can coin it out to get the extra battle cry, the extra combo damage. But I think he very cleverly realized that the difference between Blink Fox and SI7 Agent against Mage, it's not that extreme unless Vendetta is factored in. It's the 3/3 body, which is so crucial to get that early damage against the Mage, that I think che0nsu realizes what he's looking for against the Mage, and the Walk the Plank and the Betrayal will just complement that strategy rather than be the core of his strategy.
Okay, well, let's go into game number 2. And che0nsu has a pretty good.
This is more like it.
Yeah.
Everything is going his way already this game. He's on the coin, which is very important when you're in this matchup. He has the Edwin Van Cleef on the coin, and even just Burglar Vendetta is nuts.
Yeah. We'll have to see if Alutemu's Mage Yoga is up to standards here.
That's not a bad hand either for Alutemu. This is going to be a sick game. I love it when both players get exactly what they're looking for, or close to it.
I like it when people get what they're looking for too, just in life. You know.
I agree. Why can't everyone just get what they want all the time?
I don't know. Edwin Van Cleef getting coined out, so it's not going to be a Henge Clan Burglar into maybe the turn after, Vendetta into something into Van Cleef. This is just going to be get Van Cleef, it's a 4/4, it's bigger than anything that Alutemu can do right now, and then start gaining the advantage now because suddenly che0nsu can play this SI again, just on 3, and then look, already so much power on the board. Even if a giant was coming out, it dies.
Yes.
So seems good.
Yeah, I think this play for che0nsu was kind of close. I like that Edwin overall. It's not like he was super weak to Luna if he didn't do it, because he could have gone coin Burglar Vendetta. But if he does something like that, he's not making a big Edwin anyway. So I think settling on a 4/4 is exactly right for this matchup. As I said, you just want to make decent-sized bodies. Not trading there, however, is a little bit more interesting to me, and a little bit suspect, I think, against the Banana Buffoon, because he knows that there are bananas in hand, which means it can trade back at the very least. And if there's an Apprentice in hand, I mean, this is the worst possible pan out for che0nsu, whether it's the Apprentice, the bananas, the Ray of Frost, and the Mana Cyclone as well. Like, this only gets worse if there's a mirror image in hand.
But Mage does this pretty often, though, right?
It's not out of the question.
Yeah, it's not mind-blowing, is it?
And even if there was just double banana in hand, which che0nsu knows there is, obviously the Banana Buffoon had been played, it still was not that bad.
And look at this. All the secrets Alutemu could want, but also a Pocket Galaxy relatively early in the game.
Yeah,
and then there's the Arcane Intellect in his hand. Alutemu did not go for it last game. He decided to just give more tempo and play for the board more heavily. But maybe this game, with lower powered board plays, I would say at least available to him right now, he'll go for the Galaxy and go into the Arcane Intellect.
Very possibly. I think, last game, it felt like the criticism of Luna's Pocket Galaxy had kind of come into... was a reality in that game, in that it was a win more card, right? Like, he was already miles ahead. If he played that, yes, he'd be an even bigger of an advantage, but you don't get points for winning harder. It's just a win or a loss in Hearthstone.
All right, life coach. Oh no, that's speed, right? Winning faster.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to make a Daft Punk song soon, aren't we? I think I like it now, though, because none of his other plays seem that good. Like, yeah, trade Mountain Giant is good, but does he want to just... Oh.
If this was game 1, it would be Slam Giant without even thinking, because there's no Walk the Planks in the deck. However, when he knows that there are Walk the Planks, or even when he knows there's Betrayals, just going for Betrayal on the Banana Buffoon there would be pretty nuts to be able to then take out the Giant with the swing of the weapon, even though you're taking a lot of damage. And so I think there for Alutemu, he wants to play the Luna's Pocket Galaxy, and he wants to save this Giant for Conjurer's Calling. I like this.
Yeah, I like it. Mainly just because he has an intellect in hand.
Yes,
right? Next turn he can draw
exactly.
a lot of cards. He draws 3 cards next turn, minimum.
It is worth saying, however, that he has taken out some of the good cards with Luna's Pocket Galaxy, specifically Archmage and Tinnitus. And given that he's already drawn a Mountain Giant and a Sea Giant, his average draw is not that much reduced. It's at maximum a Zilliax, right, at this point. Or aside from the Giants, sorry.
Yeah, even the 2 halftime scavengers wouldn't be so bad,
I mean, it's
right?
fine,
Like, it's
yeah.
just, you know.
I still think it was the right play, just to give credence to the fact that he was very hesitant to throw down the Galaxy.
And also as well, getting to the minions like this make it much more likely that Alutemu can weave in those secrets, and the secrets protect the minions a lot.
Yeah.
So, yeah, che0nsu with a bit of a unfortunate play. Not that the play itself isn't good in the position he's in. It's just not the play you want to do, is it? You want to have that activated and have 4 lackeys in hand. Does have now multiple shadow steps he can have access to, and
Do you ever pick Cheap Shot here? Do you ever pick Backstab, actually? Backstab's not bad, right? Yeah. It just makes killing it means that next turn, if a Giant comes down, Burglar, Backstab, Vendetta, Kobold Lackey wipes it completely.
but that's the same if Kobold Lackey Shadow Step Kobold Lackey.
That's-
And Shadow
that's
Step's more
true.
flexible overall, I think.
That's
Because sometimes you don't
fair.
need to kill a Giant, and then the Shadow Step's just good in other ways.
I mean, I suppose it's usually more flexible, but it means you have to spend the 1 mana on Kobold Lackey first, and maybe he's thinking he doesn't want to do that. Like, he might want to go Burglar, Vendetta, Hero Power, Backstab. But I think I actually agree with you that it probably was a little bit more flexible.
Oh, and here we go.
And, yeah, I mean...
Welcome to 0 mana Giant Town. Population, Alutemu.
and his Giants.
And, well, yeah. Human population, Alutemu. Oh, not bad timing.
Ooh. Let's get spicy now. He obviously has the ability to take out 1 Giant. I think 2 eludes him at the moment, however. But another Backstab does make this even more interesting. That doesn't help the walk the plank, though, obviously.
No, it actually hinders the walk to
Yes,
plank
it
more
does
than
hinder
anything.
the walk the plank.
Could just be dead. Not quite yet, but not being able to deal with both is very scary.
Well, I guess actually the reason why he went for Backstab last turn was so that he could go Heist Baron, like 0 mana Lackey, Heist Baron, Backstab on this turn, rather than because he had all his mana spoken for on 6 mana. So I guess it did actually make some amount of sense to go
Okay.
Backstab over Shadow Step. Like, it wasn't strictly worse as
Yeah.
it appeared at first. Is that allowing to clear the board now?
Oh, with the other backstab?
Right, I don't quite think so, but it's surprisingly close.
He's only going to take 8 and push, and this is the difference I was talking about in last game, is that, yes, che0nsu's, you know, under pressure. There's a Giant that he can't kill on board, but che0nsu's also put Alutemu down to 22, which is not a lot, but it's something.
Why did che0nsu backstab there? Now Alutemu can just go face freeze, and walk the plank is not a possibility anymore. He doesn't have the Frost Nova in hand.
And it also doesn't stop a value trade into Conjurer's Calling.
Conjurer's Calling. I don't like that backstab at all. I mean, I get what he's going for, right? He wants to backstab preemptively so that if the trade comes in, it's easier to finish off. But I think with the Walk the Plank in hand, and the fear of Conjurer's Calling, and the fear of Frost Nova,
maybe he just doesn't want to pay 4 mana next turn and do nothing else.
Maybe. He's gonna get punished for it, though.
I think it was reasonably likely he got punished for it, but maybe it was just a risk he was willing to take. Because honestly...
What's the upside?
Well, the upside
is
outside of freezes and a few other things, which, like I said, I think it was likely he was going to get punished for it, but he doesn't have to spend 4 mana next turn.
Yes.
And he can spend mana on Tog or on Life Drinker or whatever he draws, because 4 mana out of 7 is a lot for Rogue. Like, yes, they can play an SI as well, maybe, and that's it.
Alutemu wants to play Giant on this turn? Okay.
Nice placement too.
Wow.
So Alutemu does get the value trade-off.
I mean, this this worked out well for che0nsu. It's got to be said. While I was critical of the backstab, it had the desired effect because a freeze didn't come down, a Conjurer's Calling didn't come down, and the value trade was made by Alutemu. But it had to be this exact instance where it was good for che0nsu. And it's worth saying as well for Alutemu, he's afraid of cards like Betrayal, I guess Sap, to the reason why he doesn't just want to go face and freeze, because then he could get into trouble if the Giant is dealt with. We can see, before the Sap was drawn though, Frost Nova and Giant Face was pretty much a lock. But I guess obviously when you're factoring cards you don't know, this was a safe way. Yeah.
Because to be fair, this also looks extremely close to a lock as well. It's like, it looks harder for Alutemu to lose than it does for che0nsu to win.
I mean, yeah, especially as if literally anything survives.
You can just
Khadgar,
go
Conjurer's
and then
Calling,
freeze.
Frost Nova. Yeah.
But what, the plank into Sap is available.
Could Sap one of the Naught 2s?
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Just to trade off the Sea Giant?
But he wants the lackeys alive, right? Because he wants to be able to talk next turn.
Yeah.
I think he has to go for a talk next turn. He's dry. He's got nothing.
I mean, this is now a lock for Alutemu. Face, Khadgar, Conjurer's Calling, Frost Nova ends the game. It was a tough choice for che0nsu there. The backstab that he went for didn't even end up helping him, right? Because it survived.
If it backstabbed to 4 health, sign me up. Because it means there's no value trade, right? You know, sign me up to that one. I completely get it. But because it was backstabbed to an extent where there was a value trade available, and value trading wasn't even particularly bad for Alutemu, then yeah, I still like Shadow Step earlier on. I think Shadow Step could have. Okay, that's fine. Shadow Step would have done a little bit more work, but regardless, Alutemu, yeah, you deserve that little fist pump there. But hands up for him as he is now 10-4 in Grandmasters.
He's looking very, very strong.
Not only is his score good, but his deck choice is good.
Yes.
His play is good. And going 10-4 in a field that's, you know, the best players in your region is just impressive. So our team is looking great and looking to be a real terror in the Asia-Pacific scene, I think.
Definitely, as he is definitely hoping to get a first place finish, to get a bye going into the playoffs. I believe it might get a little bit more complicated than this because Tiebreaker 2 is very complicated in terms of it's the score that you're given is the number of wins players you've defeated have accumulated over the course of Season 1 of Grandmasters. Surrender, who is, if Surrender wins this game, his upcoming game, he will be at the same match score as Alutemu. And before we factor in how their previous opponents do in the rest of this series, or the rest of the day and tomorrow, Surrender will be 1 point ahead of Alutemu in the tiebreaker. So I'm not entirely sure how it will shake out. I think it will get very, very complicated with lots of permutations. But Alutemu is in a decent spot to get first. And if Surrender loses, he's guaranteed first place. Right. So as much as it pains anyone to hope that Surrender loses when he's such a charismatic player, Alutemu will definitely be hoping that Surrender takes the L. Yeah, so it is a little bit finicky as we move on. Basically every single game impacts other games, even though it might not look like it. But it's going to get a little bit finicky as we move on, but we will keep you as updated as possible. But for now, we're going to set up the next match, which may be the biggest one of the day. It's Rivius versus Staz. Huge. Coming up for match number 2. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back.